The 9-year-old boy who died in an attack at the Magdeburg Christmas market has been named. André Gleißner's identity was confirmed by the fire department, who said he had been a member of the Children's Fire Brigade in the town of Vala, around an hour's drive from Magdeburg. This is the scene live at Magdeburg Market, which appears to have been reopened, as you can see, and people are walking amongst the stalls. André was one of 5 people who were killed. The identities of the other 4, who were all women, haven't been made public. More than 200 other people were injured when they were struck by a car driven through the crowds. The man held by police following the incident, Taleb al-Abdulmohsen, has been charged with 5 counts of murder and multiple counts of attempted murder and has been detained in custody. He's a doctor from Saudi Arabia and his motive remains unclear, but his social media posts appear to suggest that he had been critical of Islam. Bethany Bell has the latest from Magdeburg.
We have seen pictures of André, the 9-year-old boy who died here in Magdeburg's Christmas market, which is now open to the public again. His mother, in a post on Facebook, wrote, "He was only with us for 9 years on this earth. I will promise to keep you in my heart, to remember you." And she said, "I can't understand this." We know that the other victims were all women between the ages of 45 and 75. And what we understand here is that local NGOs have launched a fundraiser to give money to the victims and their families. This is a very sombre atmosphere here in the market. It's only just been opened again to the public. People are coming here to the site where this horrible attack took place.
Bethany Bell in Magdeburg. Well, our correspondent Anna Foster has been in Bernburg today, the hometown of the suspect.
This is where he lived for almost 20 years after coming from Saudi Arabia to Germany back in 2006. This is a fairly small, quiet town. It's got its own little Christmas market of its own, actually, which is very, very quiet this afternoon, just in the centre of the square. This is a place where he worked as a psychiatrist and the town from which he travelled to Magdeburg on Friday evening. Now, what we are learning more about all the time is about him as an individual, not just about his work and home life in this town here, but also about his views, and often in his own words. Now, back in 2019, Taleb al-Abdulmohsen was interviewed by the BBC, and he talked about what he did here in Germany, not specifically about his work, but about what he did in his free time.
My name is Taleb. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm an activist. I created a website to help people seeking asylum, especially from Saudi Arabia and the Gulf region. If I have time...
5 years ago, Taleb al-Abdulmohsen described how he spent his free time helping people.
90% of people who approach me are women between 18 and 30 years old.
Now he's been charged with killing 5 people at Magdeburg's Christmas market, speeding a powerful car through the packed alleys between the stalls, causing terror and panic. He was arrested at the scene, this video showing armed police telling him not to move from the ground. He made the journey to Magdeburg from this quiet town where he lives, Bernburg, around 25 miles away, and more detail is coming to light about his background and his views. He came to Germany from Saudi Arabia nearly 20 years ago and works at this clinic as a psychiatrist. Ulrike's relative is being treated here. She was shocked when she heard the link.
Yes, I was very shaken. It's horrified. It's terrible. It's make me sad. It's make my whole family is very sad, and everything I know is sad.
From his home on this peaceful street, Taleb al-Abdulmohsen built an online presence which will be key to the police's investigation. In 2019, he spoke to a German newspaper about what he called his activism, telling them, "I'm history's most aggressive critic of Islam. Just ask any Arab if you don't believe me." Attention is now turning to safety and security, whether this market was protected enough and whether authorities had any warnings that Taleb al-Abdulmohsen may have posed a threat. Germany is waiting for the answers. And as people lay those fresh flowers again in Magdeburg this afternoon, there are lots of questions, as I was saying there, that people want answers to, no doubt, particularly about how this could have happened, about what was known about the man's background, what conversations may have happened perhaps in the security services in Germany, but also simpler questions, as I was saying there, about how these Christmas markets are protected. There have been attacks at Christmas markets before, notably in Berlin back in 2016. So people had a certain expectation of safety and security when they went to a place like this. But the police have really talked about their investigation. They released some more of those details yesterday, but they have said that they are still looking into potential motive. Although this body of evidence and background and Taleb al-Abdulmohsen speaking actually in his own words, what they don't know is what drove somebody to go to the Christmas market, to target German families enjoying a night out just a few days before Christmas. And while he's been remanded in pre-trial custody and those charges have been brought, the police say there is still a lot that they want to be doing in their investigation just to really try and line up what might have happened here and why.
Anna Foster in the hometown of the suspect, Bernburg. Well, for more on the profile of the suspect, I've been speaking with Dr. Hans-Jakob Schindler, who's a senior director at the Counter-Extremism Project in Berlin.
It really doesn't fit any particular mold of the classical extremist ideologies that we know, Islamists, right-wing extremists and left-wing extremists. It's really an expression of what we have seen since the corona pandemic, when more life and more of the social life really transferred online. That is, individuals who take pieces and bits of other extremist ideologies and build their own rather bizarre worldviews, mostly based on conspiracy theories. And this is really a clear example that even these rather wacky theories can have deadly consequences.
Do you think this reflects a wider trend? Do you think there are more people out there who have this particular mix of conspiracy theories, potentially, and views? Is this being pushed by a wider force?
Well, I mean, this particular view of the perpetrator, that's certainly something quite unique, but this type of radicalization, that it doesn't really fit into a clear ideological mold anymore, that is definitely a trend that is far more widespread. It's also far more widespread because of the way that social media works. These algorithms really promote content that is hateful, divisive. If someone goes down the rabbit hole of radicalization, these algorithms actually support that process by giving him or her more and more of the same material, more extreme material. It's really hard to get out of this by yourself.
Do you think this is likely to have any consequences on German politics?
For sure. I mean, the discussion, of course, already started. We have these kind of levels of security where at each stage something that was in itself maybe not that significant went wrong, but in combination led to this disaster. So, you know, the question, what happened with the warnings of the Saudi government? What were they about? The question, what happened with the warnings from the public, from people who knew him? Why weren't they looked at? What happened with the security assessment they did in 2023, prompted by some of the warnings, which, of course, at that time correctly said he's not on a present and immediate danger. But why wasn't it repeated in 2024? And then finally, of course, why on earth were there any access to the Christmas market for any other car but a police car and an ambulance? Of course, you need escape routes, but these need to be closed off to other cars. So there is a lot that needs to be discussed. Immediately, of course, the right-wing extremist milieu, both in Germany and Austria, started posting the night of the attack. First, when everyone, including myself, still thought this is an Islamist attack, really anti-Islamophobic things. And now, when it turns out he's actually an Islamophobe himself, they immediately switched to the migration debate. And while the commemorative service was going on last night in Magdeburg, some right-wing extremists staged a demonstration in Magdeburg calling for remigration. So, of course, these extremist currents and some more extreme political parties are trying to take advantage of this.
Hans-Jakob Schindler from the Counter-Extremism Project.